Alright guys, so before my battery dies, I wanted to make a quick video about Folium 2.0, which is something that I've been advertising quite a lot recently because I've been working on it a lot and it's getting to a point where it should have been a long time ago, and I apologize. Life got in the way, planning for a wedding or getting engaged, planning for a wedding, being overseas for 2 years or maybe more of 1.5 years. Kind of made me not want to work on Folium as much, and not when I was working on it, I wasn't very focused. But with where my life is at the moment, I've been focusing on it a lot, as you've seen with not only Folium but Vion and all my other apps too. And I'm trying to do things differently so that they're improved for everyone, not just the users, but also me coding wise, which you may notice from the code if you do happen to read it and the changes. But anyway, going into Folium, I want to go through kind of the main features, not the nitty gritty of things. So you'll notice that it looks like old Folium for the most part, except there is now a bottom tab, and there is also now a network button up the top right. The icons or the game cells or whatever you want to call them look slightly different now too. The ellipsis button is on the bottom right, and the border is glass with a duplicate of the box art behind to kind of give it that colored edge, instead of it just being plain white as it was before. If there is no icon at all, which I think I don't have it actually, maybe with Game Boy Advance, there will be a circle with a slash, and games next to it will affect the glass on that side. So with Crash, or let's say Medieval, because it's purple on the edge, if there was a game to the right of it that didn't have an icon, the game on the right would have a purple edge on the left. So it affects surrounding game icons or the glass borders. Going into the plus, you can import games through here. System files at the moment do not work. I haven't fixed or added the code for that because the way I want to do it is a little bit different to what it was in the original. Games import to the currently selected system that you are on. So I am on Mandarin, which is PlayStation 1, but I can go into Nintendo because that's the only other one that I've implemented right now. And if I was to import a game now, which is GBA format, it will import into the correct file or folder under Tomato Games. So it will import automatically to the system that you were on. So under PlayStation 1, it would go Mandarin/games inside of files. And with Tomato, it would be Tomato/games. And the same will apply for all of the other systems. I think this is a lot cleaner. It doesn't bring a pop-up saying which core you want to use or which system you want to use. And it just made more sense to me. The navigation between systems is very quick, so it just goes through them. I haven't added a pull to refresh just yet, but I will do that too. Pulling on any of them, I think, should reload all of the games, not just the one that you're on. But I'm not too sure about that just yet. I'll have to figure that one out. The top right is actually peer-to-peer connections. So for things like Game Boy Advance or PlayStation 1, you have two controllers, well, at least PlayStation 1. I don't know if Game Boy Advance has two-player, maybe with a cable link or something, I'm not too sure. But let's say you have a PlayStation 1 and you want to play with a friend, you would just plug in a controller. But with the phone, you can't have two controllers on the screen or anything like that. So this peer-to-peer connection basically just means if you connect, or if I was to host a server or host a game, someone can join me through the join button directly with no interaction or anything like that, just be on the same network, and the game that I am playing will automatically be sent to that person. The image, the controller inputs that I have, everything. and when they tap on their controls, it will be sent back to me and it will control their character. So it is a duplicate basically of the emulation. They do not need the game or the system files to do anything. It just simply sends them two things and then they send back one thing, which is the input. This will work for PlayStation 1. I don't know what the other cores will do, but I think this brings a big improvement or a big addition to what already existed, because there was no two-player, there was no online multiplayer or anything like that other than 3DS. So overall, I think this is a really big change and a change for the better. I did tap on Atlantis earlier by accident, I'm pretty sure. So you can see on the bottom I have a badge. This is now the emulation screen, which you can see has all the buttons and everything like that. Going into landscape, the tab bar on the bottom will hide. You can tap on the ellipsis and stop and exit will go back to the game screen and bring up the tab again. If you go into portrait, it will bring the tab up as well. I don't want to rotate it because I'm keeping this in portrait for the video. This is actually Chicken Run, not Atlantis, but you get the idea. All of the buttons work, they work in landscape, but they appear differently. So the L and R buttons at the top actually go to the edge of the screen instead of being just above the buttons underneath them, which you see here, which I think is a much better design. And basically that's the only major change. There's no duplicate behind the at the moment. I'm not sure about it. I think having one image is good. It improves performance. It doesn't really need a blur in the background, to be honest. It keeps everything just it is actually selecting settings for Mandarin. It does automatically change based on what you are doing. So if I go into PlayStation or the emulation and stop and exit, go back to settings, it automatically switches back to the application settings. If I go and change to Game Boy Advance and tap on a game, you can now see that it's loading Game Boy, and if I go to settings, it's changed to the Game Boy Advance settings. None of these are actually connected up at the moment. The only one that is connected is the sound for PS1, but I will get to these eventually, probably today once I finish recording this. I can also manually change them if I want to. I have not added every single setting just yet. I've added 3DS, DS, but not all of them, PlayStation 1, and I haven't added Mega Drive or Genesis, but that is also something I want to add. All of these consoles at the moment are ones that exist in the original Folium and will exist in 2.0. So you can see here that obviously I can go through and tap the buttons and it works just fine. I can pause if I want to, and I can resume. I can also stop and exit and it will go back to the games library, ready for me to tap again. And that is basically all of the new Folium. There is a lot more changes in the back end, but that's something I don't want to get into. A lot of it has to do with the file accumulation and deletion, things like getting the file sizes for multiple tracks on PS1. So if I go into PS1, you can see that I believe one of these games has multiple discs, but in the original Folium it would read only one track and it would only get that file size. Now it reads all of the tracks and all of the bins and accumulates the file size into one, and that's what you see here. Deleting deletes all of the files, and if they're in a subfolder inside of games, it will delete that folder too. So a lot of improvements. A lot of them are in the background, so you won't actually see them, but they're there. You'll notice them when you actually use the app, and it's nowhere near completion. But I'm hoping maybe in a month or two I'll be able to get to that point, but we will see.